Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Workfront Summit 2025, one of the biggest virtual events in the history of modern day work. The show is about to begin. Are you ready? If you are, drop your reaction in the comments. No, you are not. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Again, let me see your reaction in the comments. Now you are. We begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to day one of the Workfront Virtual Summit 2025. My name is Michelle Adamu, your host for today, and I am so excited to embark on this journey with all of you. Over the next 2 hours, we will dive into actionable strategies, groundbreaking ideas, and connections that will redefine how we approach the future of work. This summit was designed for the change makers. Are you an ambitious professional? Are you a visionary leader? Are you a founder, a recruiter, or an HR innovator looking to actively shape the future of the workplace? Wherever it is you are in the world, you are in the right place at the right time because you are committed to progress. And that is worth celebrating rather. So I want you to do something right now. I want you to say a quick hello in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from. You can just say your name and wherever location it is you are in the world. So you can say, oh, my name is Mitchell. I am currently streaming from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is John. I am currently streaming from England. All right. So get to the comments right now. I will be looking at the comments both ways. Okay. So I see Uche Okonkwo. Thank you so much for joining. I see Joy Udom. Thank you so much for joining. I see Anthony Jack. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. And while you introduce yourself, I will be bringing up someone highly esteemed engineer and the founder of Talenvo, the convener of this summit, to take us into an opening charge to just help us understand the vision and mission behind this summit. And while we do that, please do well to keep introducing yourself in the chat, and I will do well to give you a shout out. Thank you very much.
Up next, Temidayo is the founder and CEO of Talenvo, a gamified and intelligence platform helping companies hire better through real scenario-based skill assessments. With over a decade of experience in software and talent development, he's consulted for tech giants like Meta, LinkedIn, and Pluralsight. Temidayo has trained over 30,000 learners, published 3 books, and is passionate about unlocking global opportunities for African talents.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Workfront Summit 2025. I'm truly honored to be opening this event where visionaries, founders, builders, and future-ready talent come together to learn about the future of work. And not just learn, to rethink how we hire, build, and grow. This summit was born out of an observation. The workplace has evolved, but alignment hasn't. We have spoken to founders, businesses, and talents, and one thing is clear. The expectations from both sides don't match. A lot of companies are hiring for skills they don't fully understand, and talent are constantly solving problems and building capabilities they don't get to use. That's why we created Workfront Summit. This is a space where talents, founders, and builders can have real conversations. Over the next 3 days, you will hear from bold voices around the world, people who are constantly solving business problems and talent development challenges. This is not just another event. It's a starting point for how we are going to move forward together. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to reimagine the future of work. Let the summit begin.
Good day everyone, my name is Ewelai Tikechukwu and I'm a front-end developer specialized in React.js. And today I would like to talk about a big career pivot I made and how Talenvo has been a part of it. So a few years back, I was there to become an electrical engineer, but I decided to transition into tech, and that was how I became a front-end developer. At first, it was really hard for me since it was a totally different world, but then gradually I found my way and I was able to make some progress. I actually started with small projects, building little things like normal calculator and stuff like that. And then I decided to get some real world experience. But then that was where the problem was. I didn't know where to start from. But then that's when I found Talenvo. Talenvo helped me out to find that real world experience, especially with the hackathons and challenges they gave. I also found my team. An amazing team. They gave me the experience I needed. They really worked well with me and they were very patient with me since it was my first time. And I really appreciate that. And I really like the Talenvo community are always there to help one another. So it was really an amazing experience for me and I really appreciate Talenvo for this. Thank you very much.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And it was lovely hearing from you, Timmy Dio. And I see we have more people in the chat right now. Thank you so much for joining. Please keep it coming, keep it coming. Just let me know your name and where you're joining from. And you can also take it a step further. What are you most excited to learn today? You heard about this summit and you took out time to join today. Is it morning, afternoon, evening where you are? You took out some time to join. It means you're seeking something. So please let me know in the chat, what is it you are looking to learn today? And I'll keep saying hi to a few more people. I see Christiana streaming from Lagos. Thank you so much for joining, Christiana. I see Rita streaming from Delta. Thank you for joining. I see Oluwa Bukola. I hope I don't murder any name today. Please forgive me. I don't want to skip any names. I see Ayonfe Oluwa. I see Uche. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep it coming. Let me know, what is that one thing you're looking to learn in today's summit? And earlier on, I talked about the kind of people you can expect to see at this conference, and I mentioned the recruiters and HR innovators. And coincidentally, today is International HR Day. So I just want to say a big shout out to every HR innovator joining this or that will listen to this later. Thank you for shaping the workplace culture. Thank you for making it habitable for us. If you are a recruiter on this call or you are serving in any HR capacity, feel free to say it in the chat. Oh no, someone here might just decide to buy you lunch or buy you that car you've been eyeing, right? Don't worry, nobody's gonna drag you today. We love our HR people. Thank you so much. Okay, and up next, we're gonna be kicking things off with PAR. We'll be having our first keynote, and we'll be featuring Carl Korateng. He is a global leader and architect of workplace innovation. And in just a moment, you will see a short intro video highlighting his incredible work in the United States and across other countries in the world. And then it will take the stage to share insights that will challenge and inspire us. So I encourage you to take notes. And if you have any question, please leave them in the chat and we will do well to address them. All right. So right about now, please do stay tuned as we bring up our first keynote speaker. Thank you very much. Let's enjoy this next session.
Up next. Carl is the CEO of Bandwidth Global and Beyond Africa, on a mission to connect 1 million skilled African professionals to global remote jobs by 2034. Through strategic partnerships like Generation, he's unlocking life-changing opportunities for young talents. Carl brings Formula One level focus and drive to everything he does.
Hi, everyone. I don't know if you guys can hear me okay. I am going to assume that you can. I'm just going to ask that if anyone who come in, maybe give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. That way I'm confident that you guys. Perfect. I got a yes. So I think that's good to go. All right.
Please confirm you can hear me. Hello, Carl. Please confirm you can hear me. We're having issues with your audio. So could you try to leave and come back? Let's see if that can solve it. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and we apologize for that. Carl will be back in here shortly. And thank you once again. I see Christiana say that she's looking forward to know what HR experts are looking out for during interviews currently. I think that's really crucial. And we have a number of HR experts on the call today. So you will be getting those insights into what you're looking out for to just prepare yourself to be that skillful and valuable employee to any organization. Okay. Thank you so much. Please feel free. Is it only Christiana who plans to learn something on today's call? I believe everyone here has something to learn. So please keep it coming. Let me know what you're looking to learn in this summit. One of the things that has been emphasized in all the materials that went out before today is that this conference is going to be one where you're not hearing aspire to Maguire. And for those wondering what aspire to Maguire is, it's like motivational talk where after the conference you're like, okay, what next? I've heard this over and over again. In this summit you're going to be hearing things that has worked, things that didn't work, and the lessons they learned from it, those ideas that can shape your world. So be rest assured that you'll be learning that here. Okay, I'm still expecting more responses. I feel like putting someone on the spot. Okay, Shala Dari, I like your DP, so I'm going to put you on the spot. So please let me know in the chat what you're looking to learn. You know, Carl is coming up right about now to let us know those things that have worked and shaping the industry at large. So please, please, and please share what you're looking to learn. I see Rita say, I'm looking to have a global frame of mindset regarding hiring. And I think that's very important, regardless of wherever it is you live in this world. It's important to position yourself not just for that locality. Whatever you're learning, you should constantly ask yourself, how will this work if I'm
Hello,
based
can you hear me
in
now?
London, for example? Oh, yes, Carl, we can hear you now. Welcome back.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not sure what happened there. Give me a second.
Yes, and we're sorry about that. So you could just start again. We can't wait to learn everything you have to share with us.
Amazing, amazing. Give me a second here while I just go ahead and pull this back up because I just refreshed everything just to make sure you guys could hear me again.
All right, that's totally fine.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Uh-oh.
Responses in the chat.
Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Okay, yes, I can see responses. They can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Can you still hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Give me one more acknowledgement that you can hear me, and then I'll go ahead and start.
Okay, Carl is waiting for your responses. Let him know. Give him the energy in the comments. Say, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Nothing like some humbling technology to get you off on a rough start. But okay, we're going to get back into it. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start from the beginning if that's totally okay. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Again, it's a real honor to be here with you today at the Talenvo Workfront Summit. And again, I want to start by saying a big thank you to the Talenvo team for creating a space where the future of work isn't just being discussed, but being reimagined. We're at the edge of a global inflection point. Around the world, talent pipelines are shrinking, economies are aging. The traditional ways we search, hire, and develop people, those are no longer keeping pace with what work demands. And yet, there's one place where the workforce is not contracting, but expanding. A place with the energy, the ambition, and the skill to meet the world's growing demand for skilled talent. And that place, Africa. Today, I'm here to talk about why the world's attention is finally turning to Africa for its human capital, why the continent's biggest advantage, its youth, remains still very largely untapped, and how we must rethink hiring to unlock that potential, not just for Africa's benefit, but for the world's. And I also show you how Bandwidth Global is responding, not by tweaking hiring at the margins, but by rebuilding those pipelines altogether. Let's be honest here. How we hire is evolving, not just in pace, but in purpose. Hiring used to be about filling gaps. You had a role, you ran a search, you filtered resumes. The mindset here was, let's find somebody who fits what we're doing and let's find them fast. But now we find that job descriptions expire in 18 months. And they don't just ask what you can do. They're asking, are you able to collaborate with others across time zones? Can you implement ideas and not just brainstorm them? Can you adapt? Can you solve? Can you communicate, not in theory, but in perpetual motion? So it's clear we need to rethink what talent is, and most importantly, how we prepare talent, especially if Africa's resources, the human resources, are going to be able to compete on a global scale. So let's get straight through it, right? To the heart of it all, Africa, not just as a continent, but as a workforce. According to the United Nations Population Fund, approximately 60% of Africa's population is under 25. And this proportion is expected to rise in the upcoming decades. Here's another statistic for you. By 2075, 1/3 of the world's population and of working age will be African. It's the only region where the workforce will continuously grow in the coming decades. So by 2075, in essence, 1 in 3 people on Earth of working age will be African. That's a very staggering statistic. Meanwhile, across the pond in the West, it's aging, populations are shrinking. The baby boomers that built economies and businesses, they're retiring and they're not coming back. So what's happening? The global market is finally turning to Africa, but this time not for its oil, not for its minerals, but for its human capital. And still, despite all that potential, Africa's human capital remains the most underutilized in the world. So we need to ask ourselves why. And it's because we've allowed a system to emerge where young people are unemployable, not just unemployed. And that's a distinction we have to understand. I want to talk about unemployability. And let's be very clear here. The problem is not intelligence, it's translation, right? We have millions of capable, driven young people who've gone through school, earned degrees. They've done everything that's been asked of them. But when they enter the workplace, they find it very difficult to contribute effectively. And we have seen this at Bandwidth Global, where we have vetted and we have hired capable individuals. We've put them through in-house training programs and placed them with clients. All that only to find out that that brilliance that was present on their resumes and during their training at BG or Bandwidth Global, it didn't quite translate. So we asked ourselves why. And we realized that based on our education system in most African countries, these resources have been trained to memorize and not to solve. They have never really worked a job until they're done with their national service. And you compare that to the West, teenagers start working part-time jobs at about 16 years of age, right? So yeah, they're folding sweaters, they're flipping burgers. It's not the most glamorous, but it still builds something very, very important, which is professional instinct. They're being taught to meet KPIs, work in teams, and also to be accountable to results. That early exposure, it compounds. And when they journey on into liberal arts colleges, one of which I attended myself and can attest to, the style of teaching no longer focuses on your ability to memorize. It focuses on your ability to contribute with a group, to contribute to projects. And very common are open textbook exams, right? They allow you to bring your textbook to class. But without the ability to apply the knowledge in those textbooks, you ultimately render those textbooks useless. All this contributes to a job-ready individual. Now imagine trying to replicate that readiness without ever having that opportunity to cultivate it. That's the gap. And sure, governments and policymakers, yes, they have a very key role to play in bridging that gap. But part of that responsibility falls squarely on the shoulders of us founders, builders, and ecosystem leaders to close it. Now, why am I saying all this in such belabored points? Because that gap is translating into low return on investment when it comes to our in-house programs, our training programs. And companies are starting to take notice of this. So you look at Tech About, you look at all these articles, and the approach is just to poach talent. They're in essence buying ready-made talent. And we had a similar story when we started out at Bandwidth. A potential solution, sure, would be to launch an in-house short-term training program, hire the talent, spend a few weeks or months getting them up to speed, problem solved, right? Not quite, because the problem we faced is due to limited time, we had to focus on teaching the job description. So training was very theoretical. New hires ended up being not work ready because we didn't have the system in place that was going to translate from skill into contribution. So I understand why these companies, just to guarantee these results, are turning to poaching instead. But here's the problem with poaching, right? It's not a strategy. it's a bandage. It assumes that there's always going to be this endless supply of plug and play talent. And it's a model that essentially actively overlooks Africa's current advantage, which we have in untapped potential. Not because there's not talent, but because there's no patience to invest in the talent that's ready to be built. And I think I'm going to speak more directly here to resources, right? Most founders or hiring managers are looking for one of three things in a hire. Can you drive revenue? Are you able to solve problems? Can you build relationships that matter? Relationships that company can leverage over time to move the needle and create impact. That's it. If you can do one of these three things, you've got a job. But unfortunately, degrees don't guarantee you that. Certificates don't either. You will have to be intentional about investing in yourself to get better at these things. And this might take the shape of subscribing to platforms that focus on long-term employability training, or simply managing your initial earning expectations and allowing for the right company to include your level of talent in their hiring strategy. Because if you study project management and you earn a degree, without the ability to implement the knowledge from that degree, your contribution still will be limited. And to those in hiring positions, we need to adjust our hiring strategies to allow us to bring in talent with potential and teach them over time to apply knowledge, to adapt, and to contribute, so that in the future they can add value in those categories that I mentioned earlier. It's very similar to the draft day system in sports, right? Like in the NFL and the NBA, for those that are familiar. Most teams are hoping to get first round picks that can make a difference right away. But they also have the strategy in place that allows them to find talent with potential somewhere in the 5th or the 6th round to introduce that potential to their team culture and to groom them. And if it all goes well, they might go on to win you 6 championships like Tom Brady did in New England, right? So that hiring process should create alignment between where training is happening and where those jobs actually exist. They get to make mistakes with limited pressure. They get to learn company culture, and they prepare to become champions. So at Bandwidth Global, we're doing something a little different, right? We're taking a different approach. 1 million hires by 2034. That's our mission. But we're not doing this by connecting resources to job opportunities and hoping they excel. We're doing something deeper. We want to be able to prepare these resources and help them thrive once they have landed these opportunities. How do we plan to do this? We're building a community-based technology-enabled ecosystem that trains for implementation and not just theory. So once a resource is onboarded on the Bandwidth Global platform, they immediately have access to training modules from our education partners. These modules have real-life scenarios, allow them to implement role-playing and testing, and encourages those resources to make mistakes and learn from them. We also want to start them early. So we're offering internships as early as junior secondary school. A good example would be a 16-year-old who's good at writing copy or doing something else, collaborating with the team in Canada, building a startup. They can do so as an unpaid intern, for example. So even though all they're doing is writing copy, they're going to be required to show up to meetings, explain their thought process, utilize that skill, and be held accountable to actual deliverables. So this will end up training for accountability, communication, and performance, right? We also want to build a platform to support people, not just to get hired, but to thrive. So we're expanding our mentorship program. This will allow for resources to have conversations with more experienced people in fields similar to theirs. And we are all very aware of the value that mentorship brings. You're probably wondering, Carl, so what's the point of all this, right? If hiring could be given a facelift, I argue that it wouldn't be faster or even better. I argue that it will be about investing in value creation, wherever that value exists. It will recognize that Africa isn't just behind, it's underinvested in. And the future of hiring isn't about just filling roles, but it's about building people who can actually create value. So if you're a founder, a hiring manager, a builder of teams or ecosystems, here's the message to you. Africa's talent isn't a risk to manage, it's a resource to invest in. And not someday, not when the systems are perfect, but right now. Especially if we want to capitalize on the global talent crisis, we can't keep looking in the same places, using the same filters, expecting different outcomes. We have to stop asking, why aren't they ready, and start taking action. And that could come in the shape of launching pilot programs or upskilling programs, or investing in partnerships with institutions that are already closing the readiness gap, one of which has convened us today. Because here's the truth, there's no global future of work without Africa. The workforce is young, it's ambitious, it's immensely talented, and it's waiting for systems that believe in it early enough to invest in it. So if you take just one thing away from all this today, just realize that the talent is already here, the readiness is coming, and the future, it's very much African. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carl. I must say that that was so valuable. Please confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. I think one of the things that stood out for me is you said the problem is not intelligence, it's translation. So I'm I, it's a lot to take in, right? Because you talked about the fact that here in Africa we are taught to cram things, but over there in the West, they make things practical from a very young age. So we have a number of people listening on this call now who have gone through that painful experience of cramming things. So, if there's any tip you would give them to be able to change the trajectory of their career journey, so now I'm talking for the ambitious professionals. We'll move to the companies and all.
And
Uh,
all.
so, what would those tips be for an ambitious professional tuning here who probably went through the university cramming Fortran, cramming different weird things, and now nobody wants to hire him? Or could you just give like some actionable tips that they could
Yeah,
take?
sure. You know, the good thing about cramming is it's taught you a couple of things, right? You have to deliver results right away, and you found a strategy to do so. Yeah, you didn't have to think up the strategy out of nowhere, and it's been used in the past and it's been successful. But it says to you, if you're a resource, you are actionable, you're able to take limited time and guarantee some level of results. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but it's about using that to your advantage, not your disadvantage. Now, what do I mean by that? When you enter a workplace, understand that cramming will only take you so far. Because if you remember in my speech, I mentioned that job descriptions are changing. Companies who are having to compete, especially on a global scale, are having to pivot pretty frequently. So if you end up repeating that skill of, I want to learn what I'm supposed to do just so I can do it and get by, then you can see how you're always playing catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Take that skill as a good cornerstone. Go in there as a blank canvas, saying to yourself, I am going to learn to contribute value. Understand what value means for that company that you're joining. And I guarantee you it's not the ability to cram. That isn't the value. Leave that at home. So go in there and start asking yourself, how do I add value? Give yourself time. Every company expects a hire to have a learning curve. So that's already built into our hiring, but allow for yourself to be actually good at learning how to bring value. Don't think, how do I show up, get my work done, close my computer and go home? If you need to speak to somebody who's been there before you, if you need to speak to your hiring manager and understand fully what that value looks like, give yourself the time to get better at what you're learning, but you have to be very accountable to it. You have to be intentional. And I think that is going to end up translating into some good results for you.
Okay.
That's the word. Be intentional.
Okay, intentional. Thank you so much. So now I have another question.
Yeah.
So this is, imagine you were speaking to recruiters because
Yeah.
now we understand the landscape in Africa, the fact that we are still on a journey to getting education right and preparing the young ones right. So
Mhm.
how do you think that recruiters or HR leaders can be more understanding and have a balanced approach to hiring? Where, because one of the things we typically see on social media, you see, let's say someone trying to hire after going through 200 resumes, they go out there to just laugh and mock hiring. So now we're not saying just hire people who are not like we're not saying hire people who are incompetent, but even in your verge to hire people who are competent, understanding the landscape that exists in Africa, what are the actionable steps that they can take to balance their approach?
That's a great question, right? And I think the word that comes to mind here for me is sustainable or sustainability, right? So even though you're looking for readiness to some extent, you have to ask yourself, if we had a pool of talent, some that were, let's call them the A class, they were great. We had a good section in the B class and a good section in the C class. If you kept just looking for the A class and everybody kept getting very good at looking for that A class, right? Logic just says that A class kind of runs out. So we leave the B class and the C class with no strategy in mind for them. It's not a sustainable one. So, like I was saying when I was presenting, the idea is some of this is going to be costly for you as a hiring manager. Some of it is going to take time for results to show. But there's no real policy or strategy that has brought long-lasting results that happen overnight. Same with the company that you're building, right? Look at it from like a networking perspective. When I go to a conference, we are going to be thinking about people that we can bring into a business now to drive revenue, but people that in the future could be revenue drivers for us. So you want to take a very sustainable approach to all of this. And if you do that, I think you're just going to be fine when it comes to your hiring strategy.
Okay, brilliant. I thank you so much. I hear sustainability, and I was going to say something, but you alluded to that, the fact that it's going to be expensive, and I think that that's something recruiters and HR leaders need to prepare for. The fact that it's a lot of work to prepare what we would call a talent pool is a lot of work just to
Absolutely.
ensure that by the time A is depleting, B is being built up to fill up that space. So
Exactly.
now, if you notice, I'm going through the different stratas of user personas. So we've talked about the professionals, we've talked about the HR leaders. For the founders and the company owners, many a times they are not willing to put their resources into things like this, right? So, um, what is a recommended strategy that you think they can that you think maybe people under them can deploy to convince them to take on this um, work?
This work, right? So, I want to start off by saying when we're solutioning at a company, ours or yours, it's all about learning, trying different things and seeing how they work, right? Because in essence, you never really have it all figured out. We're constantly learning. The world is constantly evolving. We're going to always constantly keep pace. That's the culture that every company has to have, right? So if you're at a company where the founder really is thinking longevity, they're going to understand that pivoting, adapting, evolving is part of the game plan. And yeah, it might not be the easiest conversation to have, but it's a conversation that inevitably will be had at some point. Else, we look down the pipeline and all the talent that's useful now is exhausted. Then what at our company, right? So I think you want to take that approach when it comes to speaking to whoever is in charge of making that financial decision. Because if I decide to pitch a strategy now to, let's say, the head of operations at my company or a co-founder at my company, I want to be able to get them to understand why I decided on this strategy, what my data points to support that strategy look like, and what the end of that strategy will actually bring. You want to take the time in to understand what that means for your company when it comes to this long-term approach. And it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all situation. So you need to really look at that company culture. What can it support in terms of debt? What can it support in terms of long-term growth? And come up with a strategy that looks sustainable and a strategy that brings in people to train. And it's not all about spending money, guys. Let's be frank. There's some resources out there on this call now who are listening, who are willing to learn without getting paid for it, right? They're very willing to join a company that has trajectory, that has traction, that has, more importantly, a culture that they can get excited about. So if you can focus on those three things as a company and actually adjust that hiring post, not to say, I need you to be ready when you show up at the interview, but to say, I'm excited to speak to people who are excited about this mission. Because there's this theory that even if you don't know what the destination the bus is going, and you bring the right people onto the bus, over time, you guys are going to end up somewhere great. So if you have that culture, then speak to that culture in your hiring post. Speak to that culture in your hiring process. And I guarantee you'll find some very motivated individuals who might even come in and say, look, don't pay me for 6 months. I'm going to come every day. I'm going to learn and I'm going to get better because I'm excited about solving this problem with you. It's not too difficult to imagine, but if you don't try it out ever and your posts are always looking for ready-made talent, then you're going to be in the mindset that that's the only approach that works. We need to be a little bit bold in our implementation of strategy.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much. This was really insightful. I wish we could go on and on and on, but I know you're short for time. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of Talenvo and everyone who joined this call for the insights and for taking time to answer our questions. To everyone listening in, please feel free to connect to Carl Koranteng on LinkedIn. His link is going to be posted here, and you'll also see the details shortly. Thank you once again, Carl.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Bye. Okay, thank you everyone. Right up next, we're going to be having a panel session. And this time, I want you to ask questions because this is going to be very insightful. Immediately after I go off stage, you'd see a little bit of insight into what is coming up next. And then we'll have the panel session. So please don't be distracted. Make good use of this time and ask questions in the chat. Also, do well to like this stream so that the algorithm can recommend it to more people. Thank you so much, everyone.
All through my years in the virtual assistant industry, I help busy founders and entrepreneurs who are overwhelmed with tasks. I manage and coordinate emails, manage calendars, organize files, research, onboarding clients, and day-to-day administrative tasks. I am not just a virtual assistant. I am your right-hand support in managing chaos behind the scene. If you had 10 extra hours per week, what would you use that to do? I assure my clients save up to 10 to 20 hours per week to help them focus on their business, scale their business, and boost productivity.
Up next. Jeremiah Josu is a seasoned brand and growth marketing leader currently heading marketing and brand at Wakana, with experience across major brands like Pepsi and KFC. He blends strategy, digital media, and influencer marketing to drive results. Khadijat Amisat, as a developer relations engineer at Celo Foundation, leads Web3 developer relations across 5 African countries, fostering growth of blockchain adoption and technical communities. Away from her work at Celo, she actively advocates for women in tech. Yash is the founder of Now Collab, a platform driving project execution and collaborative learning. With over 15 years of experience across India, MENA, and France, he transforms complex ideas into scalable solutions.
All right. Good evening, guys. Please confirm you can hear me.
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes,
absolutely.
Loud and clear, Khadija and Yash.
Hi.
Good evening, guys. Great to have you on here. And good evening, everyone, from wherever you're joining in. I want to believe that you enjoyed the first session that we had, and it's about to get a lot more interesting. If you've seen the topic of what we're about to discuss, you'll be as excited as I am for what is about to go down in very few minutes. We're at a very pivotal time, and I think the last speaker said that in talent acquisition, from resume passing boards to video interviews now, and even in our daily life, AI has one way or the other found it has integrated itself into our everyday life. But with every innovation that happens, there's always that question. is, I mean, the rise of AI, is it genuinely enhancing the hiring experience? Or, I mean, is it just an hype? Are we just buying into an hype? Are we just buying into the next technological wave? And so today, joining me to discuss this, I have, I mean, two remarkable minds navigating this space in real time. I mean, we're about to talk to experts in this space, not people who just go to ChatGPT to put prompts here and there, but people who, I mean, are shaping this space for what it is. Yash Ayagari is the founder and CEO of Now Collab, which is a platform, I mean, known for using AI to foster meaningful and talent conversations. And we also have Khadija Musa, who is a developer relations engineer, and she's deeply entrenched in conversations around tech, around, and I mean, like you heard in a bio, around women in tech and other conversations. So welcome, Yash. Welcome, Khadija. Good to have you on
Thank you.
board with us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And the very few minutes we have, we'll be unpacking, I mean, what is working with AI and what is wishful thinking, and I mean, what recruiters, startups, and even candidates need to be paying attention to. That's what we're going to get into very quickly. I think I'd start with you. I'll start with you, Yash. And my very first question to you will be, which AI hiring tools do you think deliver measurable value, and which ones do you think are more hype than help? I mean, when we talk about hiring and all of the AI tools that are out there, which ones do you think, I mean, from your own experience working with these, which ones do you think are, I mean, are genuinely delivering value, and which ones do you think are hype? Yash.
Great. First of all, I'd like to thank Jeremiah for the lovely introduction, and great to be here with you, Khadija. And thank you, everyone at Talenvo, everyone watching. With respect to AI, hype, and reality, it's a very good question that you've put forward. And it is interesting that there's a lot of tools that promise a lot of things, but it is very important for us as users, as people who hire, or as people who are applying to jobs to understand what is being used for what. As per the previous session as mentioned, there's a lot of CVs, not just CVs that or ATS that is being used, but also for interviews. With respect to that, we see a lot of platforms similar to Hire Easy, if you know that, and Fetcher, Seek Out, Intello. There are quite a lot of them. Hire Easy is used by Amazon. Seek Out is used by Salesforce, Accenture, etc. for different multiple reasons. Some are used for sourcing, while some are used for matching based on the personalities, etc. And whereas we're for also interviewing, there's Hire View, Code Signal. Similarly, there's Pymetrics. I think most of us have learned about it, know about it, where it is more of a game kind of a questionnaire, where it's more like it sets your personality according to the job. However, the second part of the question you asked is what are the tools which are majorly hype based on my experience, etc. Uh, there are a lot of tools which are resume scorers, like you can say, which are or ATS scorers, which call themselves humantic AI, or let's say emotional facial decoders, which decode your face from your CV. I think those take it a little too far. But yes, according to me, a mix of human and AI is the best possible. And for that, I feel the Hire Easy and Fetcher and Pymetrics seem to be uh, doing a quite decent job as of now.
All right. Thank you, Yash. I'll just quickly follow up on that with a quick question to say that, I mean, in your experience building a collab, I mean, what signals should HR teams watch out for when they're accessing an AI solution? I mean, I mean, there's a pitch everywhere on LinkedIn nowadays. Somebody's sending you a pitch, somebody's sending you a demo. I mean, for HR teams, what should they look out for? How do they know an AI tool that is overpromising?
So first to begin with, what we look at, or what I see personally as well, is buzzwords. Too many buzzwords kill the deal. Where it is kind of a predictive, you can kind of predict what is coming next without an evidence, which is a major red flag. There is no transparency sometimes with respect to metrics with some tools, which gives you maybe a rating, a ranking, or many more, and much more analysis, but there's no baseline for that. As long as you can see a baseline and understand where this is coming from, you can trust it a little more. Like I said, no baseline, lack of explaining, and lack of feedback loops. What happens is how AI works, like all of us know, is that as you train it more, it should get much better. But if that is not the case and it gives you substantial evidence, like you can call it, that is where it's a major red flag, which is where I think humans come into the picture still, even today, to make sure that this is not the case and not leave it completely to AI.
All right. Thank you very much, Yash. Thank you. So Khadija,
Hi.
I'd like to ask, where do you think, current AI tools, where do you think they fall short, especially in driving inclusive, and equitable hiring? Carl spoke about Africa being the, face of the world now when it comes to global hiring because of the resources that we present, which is the youth. So where do you think AI tools fall short in driving, inclusion and equitable hiring, especially in a market like Africa?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. I just want to be sure the audience can hear me very well, and if you can also, if I'm very, very audible. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you, Khadija.
Okay. All
The
right.
audience, please let us know if you can hear also.
Okay.
Just drop your comments.
All right. So, to your question, to be honest, right, like the biggest gap I see is in context, and most AI hiring tools are built on data trained in Western markets, and they just don't translate well to like the cultural, linguistic, or socioeconomic realities of like emerging regions. So, for example, a candidate that has like a non-traditional education or informal work experience, which is like very, very common in emerging markets like Africa or Southeast Asia, might get overlooked because the model is optimized for a resume that fits a narrow global NOTS template. And there's also the issue of biased data. So if you're training AI on historical hiring data from companies that have like unconsciously favored certain profiles, for example, we say like men from like elite universities, then your AI ends up automating that bias at scale. And when that gets applied in markets that are already marginalized, it just widens the gap. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very key and profound. So what practical ways do you think that organizations can use? To debias these systems that they've created or debias the tools that they've employed in that sense. What practical ways can they optimize those tools to ensure that many times, sometimes maybe they go for speed, they go for automation, they go for, and many times, companies even here go for just big names, maybe because they hear that Apple is using this tool and then they jump on it. Like you said, but if we want to build a tool that is not biased, or they already have a tool, how do they debias their system to ensure that is inclusive and is equitable?
Okay, so the first thing is that I feel like companies have to be intentional about their design. Like that's the most important things, because I've seen companies, start by auditing their hiring data. So they look at who gets shortlisted, interviewed, and also hired. And then they retrain their models with more diverse data sets, or even stimulate what I'll call like a bias stress test. So a bias stress test is like where you run like the system with varied profile and check for like disparities. And one practical tip I could say is inserting human checkpoints, meaning that you can automate screening and still have human reviewers to override or flag results when something feels off. So this hybrid model keeps things efficient while also catching like edge cases that the AI might miss. So inserting human and also like letting a human being step in, it's a practical way I think organizations can debias their system.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. As funny as it sounds, AI is supposed to help us optimize what we do, but then
Yeah,
humans still have to come in to optimize AI also.
exactly.
For us to have
Yeah.
a very balanced system, and that makes sense. It funnily leads to my second question to Yash, because I was going to ask you to say that when must automation stop and human input begin in hiring decisions? Like when we're making hiring decisions, just like Adija has told us, now we need to build a system, which I totally agree with, that involves both using AI and having the human element into it. But so where must automation stop and where must humans now step in making hiring decisions?
That's a great question, Jeremiah. Based on what Khadija says, she's made a very valid point when she spoke about how there's bias from training from Western data. There's simple things like, what we put on our resume or CVs, how you put out your achievements differs from culture to culture. Some cultures do not like to really boast about things, uh, and some cultures know how to put it out much better. Some cultures, it's much important to be more humble in your approach and in your achievements, showing your achievements, whereas in others, it's different. And also things like, you're volunteering your achievements and your everything related to CVs, etc. So it's very important for some cultures, in fact, to be much more careful about it. And the question regarding when should the human intervene? So mostly you can rely on AI for, let's say, repetitive tasks, like most of us know, to begin with. Like beyond repetitive tasks, like let's say resume screening. Sometimes all of us know that when you put out a job post, there will be hundreds and thousands of applications, and with LinkedIn Easy Apply and many other easy apply modes, you see a lot of irrelevant applications as well, because of course there is a lot of struggle from the other side of the table as well. You cannot blame them. It's just the people might be like, okay, I'm looking for a job. I need it, so I'm willing to do it. But you, as a hiring manager or an HR, for you, it is important to get the right set of people. For that, a first level of screening, resume screening, parsing, etc. It's very important. AI is quite reliable with respect to that. And after that, there's skill assessment and culture fit and motivation, etc. There's much more beyond that. With respect to skill assessment as well, AI is okay. But when it comes to culture fit, when it comes to motivation, and when it comes to decision making, more or less, I feel personally and with my experience that human intervention is much more necessary, because it's not just based on your skills and based on some keywords that we hire a team. It's based on how they fit into the culture. It's based on how you have maybe one leader already in the team, and you would rather have someone else who is great with details, with following, or following the regulations, details, and getting the work done in the right way, and another kind of personality, etc. So with respect to the initial steps like resume screening, skill assessment, and maybe scheduling of sorts, it's a great thing. But when it comes to culture fit, like again, going back to the point Khadija mentioned in her previous answer, it is very important for humans to intervene, someone who knows the culture of that place and someone who doesn't have a bias, in the sense that, okay, based on the trained data previously and the final decision making as well. That's where I feel we need to draw a line, because we are not there yet in terms of AI, and cultural intricacies play a very, very important role once for building a team and for achieving any kind of goal.
All right, thank you, Yash. And I mean, that's quite insightful, especially when you mentioned how the culture differs from culture. Some cultures are a lot more. I mean, people are a lot more humble in their presentation of their skills, and in some places, you have to be loud to be seen. And I mean, I want to throw this question to Khadija. And I mean, from what Yash has said, do you think there is a way to train AI to read soft skills accurately? And because I mean, many times when you put together your CVs, you can mention it. But I mean, your CV, many times we sell your hard skills and we sell your achievements. Soft skills, maybe not so much. But is there a way to accurately train AI? I mean, to read soft skills, or do we need to entirely just rely on human judgment on this?
Okay, so let okay, let me start by saying that we are getting there, right? Because if we want to be real, we know that soft skills such as culture fit are like very, very important skills of like any great team. And we understand that although AI can streamline a lot, but if we really, really like rely on it heavily, we would risk hiring people who check like the technical boxes but can't collaborate, adopt, or communicate in high stakes situations. And I would also say we are getting there, but it's a bit early. And there are tools experimenting with video analysis or NLP, which are natural language processors, to infer traits like empathy or leadership based on how someone communicates. But honestly, that opens up a whole other kind of ethical worms. And until we have, let's say, until we have enough diverse training data and regulations to prevent misuses, I think AI can support soft skills assessment, but not replace it. So a well-trained hiring manager, especially one who understands the culture they're hiring into, is still your best bet. So again, AI is about augmentation, not automation. So yeah.
All right, thank you. That's like quotable quote. What you just dropped at the end, you can write
Yeah.
that in the quotes. It's augmentation, not automation. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Finally, before I throw this open to the audience to ask any questions that they have, I just want to ask again. If we look at the use of AI, and I'll just run through Yash and Khadija very quickly. If we look at the use of AI, especially with big companies, like Yash said, if a big company, let's say a Google Nigeria or anybody puts out a job role, you may be getting applications that go into thousands, depending on the role that you open up. It could be going into thousands, it could be going, tens of thousands in that sense. And so I want to ask that a human, and we've agreed very much that we must have humans in the loop of the hiring process, but are human in the loop models only, are they scalable for large enterprises? Or, are they better suited to startups, small businesses? Because, if a small business puts out, they may still get a volume, but maybe not as the volume that being a big brand would drag in that sense. So, for, very large enterprises, are the human in the loop, model, is that scalable for them? Or is just better suited for, startup and mid-sized companies? I'll start with you, Khadija.
I would say yes and no, because the speed of adoption is currently like pacing the conversation we should be having about like ethics, transparency, and accountability. So, for example, we know that tools like ChatGPT are powerful, but if we don't understand the data behind them or the way they are making decisions, you are basically just outsourcing your judgment to like a black box. And I've seen cases where companies use AI to generate interview questions, rank candidate response, or even screen cover letters. But if no one is checking for biases or auditing like the outcomes, we're just scaling systemic inequality at lightning speed. So, and the problem actually is not the tech, it's how we use it. So I think we need like a stronger framework for responsible AI using hiring. That means like clearer guidelines, more transparency in decision making, and definitely like third party audits. um you can you can't just like plug in a model and call it fair because it's fast. So yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yash, what do you have to say?
I completely agree with Khalija. In fact, it is very interesting that what she says. It yes and no. It depends again on the role. Is one more thing that is very important. The role that you're looking for, is it more of an entirely towards the technical side of things, or is it towards the people side of things, collaborating with teams and getting things done? So it depends again on this. Where if you want a person to go from A to B and only do that and in a very technical fashion, there is certain evidence that AI can make things very fast. Whereas if there is a more all-round, requirement, which is mostly the case, you rely more on a certain gap. You see a certain gap there, and you rely more on human intuition and cultural differences. All these things come into the picture. So it is very important when we say scalable or non-scalable, depending on the mid-size, large-size businesses, etc., on how we tie it up to a role, and on how again Khadija says she's been dropping truth bombs actually. Uh,
I agree.
yeah.
Totally agree.
Yes, AI is used for augmentation, not automation. It means
Yeah.
you have to improve your efficiency, not just rely completely on that, right? So it's like how you make the decisions, how is it trained, how what kind of a role is it, and how do you tie it back to the organization's values at the end, right? So this is something which a lot of people miss out on, be it a small scale startup, a mid-sized company, or a large scale enterprise. There are organizational values which are very important to every organization, which help you build towards a specific goal, right? When this comes into the picture, there is a lot of training bias that comes out, and as long as there's transparency, there's regulations and much more, it is definitely scalable. But what do we look at as scalable, right? What we need to see is how much efficiency does it bring. That is scalability. Automation is not scalability, but if it makes your job 50% easier, that's much more scalable in a sense. So bringing these nuances together is something which can be trained, which can be brought together. But yeah, it can't be like there's a RAG model right now, retrieval augmented generation, for specific cultures, for much more detailed niches, right? So it can be trained in that sense, but we're still getting there. It is yes and no. There's no straight answer. For
Yeah.
I believe for very technical side of things, yes. When there's human intervention, where it's more people working together, which is mostly the case, then there's definitely a human intervention.
All right, thank you. Please, if for the audience, if you have any questions, please, now is the time. We have very few minutes left, but if you have any question, I think I can take about 1 or 2. So if you have questions, please drop them now. While we wait for the questions, I'll just ask, if the questions come, then we answer and then we sign out. But before the questions come, I'd ask one question to say that Kajida and Yash, if you had the opportunity to build an AI tool, not for hiring, but to improve life generally, what would you build? You could get the tool into the market tomorrow morning. The product will be live by tomorrow morning, ready to use and straight to go tomorrow morning. What would you build, Khadija?
Well, let Yash go first.
Okay, Yash.
All right. So I've been building Now Collab. We've been focused on how to improve the life of students in general, students and university people like professors, etc. in general, how their skills can match to the real world, because there's a lot of gap that we've seen with respect to the education system. I think in the previous session they were talking about it as well, and how there's a gap between the real world experience and what we are taught in colleges or in schools, etc. So my focus while building Now Collab is to use AI to improve that experience, to improve that learning experience, and to give them much more insight into the real world process of how work happens, how our projects worked upon, how our projects executed in real businesses. How can we improve that output of students, of people who have dreams? Because a lot of us see that people in colleges have different dreams, but yet when it comes to the jobs in the eastern side of the world, central and eastern side of the world at least, it comes to just getting a job after getting a degree, rather than waiting and following our passions. And it's not so easy for everyone. Most of the people have to get a job and have to survive and have to take care of their family as well, and a lot of things like that. And a lot of people lose their dreams, lose what their interests are. So for us, our focus is on how, if someone's interested in specific thing, how can we augment their experience and their knowledge in that sector, and how close can we take them to the real world in that sense, is something that has been very important for me. And that's what we've been trying to achieve and build, where there's no student or nobody, no young professional is left out and pushed to do something else just to pay the bills, but he's really good at something else, where slowly that skill fades off. So that makes the world a better place. That brings a lot of different things together, rather than everyone working at a call center or something like that. So
Thank you, Yash. Thank you. Okay, so Khadija, you're going to answer
Okay.
that question, but then you're going to
Yeah.
also answer one more question. Someone is asking
Okay.
that, are there AI tools that can help candidates prepare? That can help candidates prepare prepare their CVs for interviews and for personality checks.
Okay, let me answer your question first.
Okay.
So, since we're talking about like what we are building, I think I've always been a big advocate of consumer goods, and consumer goods in the sense that product that applies to like everybody and anybody. Um, Technology in general has been made very, very technical, if I can use that word, that a random person thinks AI is something so big. Do you understand? For the longest of
Yeah.
time, we've been talking about AI at home, and I remember the day my mom used ChatGPT for the first time. So she's a lecturer, and she was pondering about, she needs to like prepare like over 100 questions for our students. And then I said, oh, use ChatGPT. And then she used it and she was so happy. You need to see the way she was like in seconds, like it was like she can't believe it that she has 100 questions, in how many minutes? Like, how is this possible? And I feel like if we build tools of if we integrate AI into what people can relate to, I feel like the world will actually be a better place and everyone would use it very well. For example, I'm currently building an AI and blockchain platform, technology platform for insurance companies and SMEs that automates policy sales, claiming your risk, and also offers like fractional ownership of like policies for SMEs. So when people that don't even know what AI is, you understand, they can already how will I put it? They can interact with AI, right? And it's already helping them solve like their personal problem. I feel like that's what I am building. Like I would love to build, and I think we should build more rather than just building infra tools. That I mean, it's just technical people that can only relate to, and then it
Yeah.
furthers, makes like the percentage of developers are like what we have 8 billion 80 how many people do we have in the world? Do you understand? And the percentage of people that are technical are just like if like a small fraction, and we are supposed to be building things for everybody, like everybody and anybody. A random person on the road should be able to access these things, right? You don't have to know what HTML is or what is JavaScript or anything. Like you should be able to use these tools. And the more we keep if we keep building things like this, products like this, people won't get scared. For example, I know like a percentage of women here in the Middle East that are very scared of AI. Like they don't even want to hear
Interesting.
it. Yeah. Yes. So when we say, because I do workshops here for like firms like enterprise like focus, and when they say we are doing like training on AI, they would register and then they would not show up. And when you ask them, oh, why didn't you come? Oh, we are scared of AI.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Wow.
why are you scared? So because people keep seeing like the negative aspect of AI online, right? They consume that. So the education part, right, which I know Yash is currently working on, you understand, like it's the information, the positive side is less people are not privy to that information, and everyone is just seeing like so many bad things that AI is doing, you understand, and it just makes them scared. But if someone can buy like an insurance policy from the comfort of their home on their phone, they'll be very, very happy and excited, just like the way my mom is. I'm sure that's what she uses now. In fact, she was even saying that, oh, she's not going to tell her colleagues because she wants to feel fly. Do you understand? Like, oh, she could she has 100 questions and her colleagues, they are still struggling with like, do you understand? So if my
Yeah.
mom, who is almost 60, do you understand, if she can feel very happy, then why can't we just build things for for everyone to to have access to? So yeah, so I think building real world things that solve real world problems. Yeah, so that's exactly what I would focus on. So yeah.
All right. But okay, so to the question, what tools do you have any tools to suggest for candidates prepare CV, prepare for interviews and personality checks very quickly? Because we're out of time.
So I would say Notion. I think most of these things, most of like there really isn't any tool this day that doesn't have AI embedded in it, right? We have Notion, we have Google Docs, with the Gen AI, infused if you're like paying for like the premium, there's also Grammarly. And I think for me, I use AI to sort of like rewrite. If you check most of my chat GPT prompt, is always rewrite this for me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you can't use, I mean, chat GPT to write your CV. Do you understand? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't know you that well. Do you understand? So you can always, rephrase this word, make it, look standard, right? You can even like upload documents of like, oh, can you look at this person's CV? Can you do something similar? So yeah. So I think for preparing for interviews, it also depends on the kind of job you're doing, right? There are some jobs that you can't use AI to like prepare the interviews because you don't even know what they are going to ask you. Do you get? So unless it's a technical test, right? You can check, but you also need to be able to explain your answers. So you have to be very, very careful when you're doing all of this. You get? So, and I don't really think there's any AI tool that can prepare you well for interviews, right? It's also, personal development from your own self. Yes, talking, public speaking. I didn't just start today, right? I've been doing it, over and over, like for the past 3 years. So you also need to work on yourself, but you can let this thing just, help you on, like the things to say, your pointers, your body gestures and all of that. So I would just say like, Notion, ChatGPT, yeah. So just few of these tools. Yeah, those are the ones that I can think of right now. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Khadija. Thank you very much, Yash. We're very much out of time. So I just wanted to thank you thank you for joining in. Thank you for giving your time and your expertise. I'm sure that, everybody on the call has, learned one or two things. I know we couldn't take all the questions, but I believe that from the answers that Yash has given and Khadija has given, many things are clear. I'll just leave you with, something that Khadija said at the closing. AI can help you do some things, especially when you're preparing for stuff, but you have to work on yourself. AI can help you edit your CV to fit a job role. But when you sit in front of the interviewer, it's still you that gets to display the skills that you have. So you develop yourself, and then you use AI, the word on Marvel, you use it to augment what you've already prepared for. So thank you, Yash. Thank you, Khadija, for joining in.
Thank you very much.
I believe we've had a nice time, and it's over to you, Michelle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Khadija. Thank you, Yash. Okay, I hope that was as insightful for you as it was for me. I must say that I took away a lot of things, and if there was something that was evident in their answers and responses to questions, you could see that they weren't just addressing professionals preparing themselves for the workplace or preparing themselves to be better. They were also addressing the recruiters. So I think it's very crucial that these lessons and insights that they gave, we applied. One of the things that stood out for me is this, that AI is used to augment, not automate. Many a times we talk about automation, let's leverage technology to automate this process and all. It's beautiful. Let's take away everything manual. But when it comes to recruitment and people management, you can't take away the human factor. So if you're a recruiter listening in on this call, yes, get those AI software to improve your work, but please know that it doesn't absolve you of the human part of what you do, right? So that way you can take the diamond in the rough. All right, beautiful. I must say that this today's summit, today's session has been insightful so far. Starting from Carl, helping us to understand how that in Africa, especially for those of us in Africa or who got trained in Africa, it's important that you prepare yourself to thrive as it is in the Western part because we are not necessarily exposed to the kind of trainings and practicals that we need. So if you're a professional here, you need to prepare yourself for that. And whatever opportunities or time you find to apply for an internship, take it. Whatever opportunity you find to practice those things you've learned, take it, right? And then if you are a recruiter here, find a balance. You have to do the hard work of training people. You cannot just always go for the ready-made people because once all the ready-made people are out, what then happens? You have to do the hard work of training. And I'm sure one question that pops up in the minds of every recruiter is, okay, what if I train them, then afterwards one company comes to pay them 10,000 US dollars and all my training and labor has gone to waste, right? Which is why you must stick to the end of this session. We have another one coming up tomorrow and another one on Thursday. We will be equipping you with tips on how to retain talent. So it's not just to train talent, to retain them. So Don't go anywhere. So now I want to do something quickly. I mean, a lot of recruiters are listening on this call. So every one of you in the chat, I want you to do something, what they call speed networking. In the next 15 seconds, yes, I'm very strict. I want you to introduce yourself, your role if you've started working, or your the role you aspire to work in, and then solve in the workplace. So be it in the fintech industry, in the health tech industry, in the automobile industry, regardless of whatever industry it is. So your name, your role or your preferred role, and one problem you are looking to solve. So please get to the chat right now. You never know, one recruiter looking for someone in that space will just look out for you or search you out. So I'm waiting. Let's see who's going to be the first person to drop their response. So the person might get a gift or a workshop, a free let me not give it out. Okay, I see Chimezie, you've done 1/2. Chimeziri, yes. So you just introduce yourself. I want to know your role or the role you aspire to work in, and then one problem you are looking to solve or you think should be solved in the workplace or in the world. I'm waiting. Yes, thank you, Christiana. It was an exciting session. Um, 15 seconds is over. Oh, speed networking. Imagine that you had 30 minutes to convince or to catch the attention of a recruiter. This is your moment. This is your hour. Please get to the chat. I want to see responses. I'm waiting. Okay. Brilliant. I see Sylvia. Sylvia says, if it's Sinachi, okay, all right. Data analysis intern, looking forward to analyzing data to make informed decisions on health matters. I think this is very brilliant. And I can't wait to see the magic that you would bring to our world and the innovation you'll be bringing. So please, if you're a recruiter, yeah, looking to find people passionate about solving problems in the healthcare industry with data, you have your girl, Sylvia. So is it only Sylvia who is ready to take the bull by the horn? Okay, I see Joshua, a junior software developer and data scientist. There's something in this data. Okay. You're passionate about solving issues with data management at hospital management. That's two healthcare people. Interesting. I see Bolarinwa. I'm a product manager, Swain. Um, I'm looking for the issue. Okay, I'm looking for the issue of internship opportunity for young talent solved where you can get. Oh, okay, I get you. You are looking to see, or you're looking to build a solution that solves the problem, or that creates an avenue for young talents to get hands-on experience. I think that is very brilliant. Thank you, Bolarinwa. Okay, Chimeziri says, I work in the tech industry, cybersecurity to be particular. You are driving an initiative, which is to have tech skills such as AI and security in our schools. I think that's very crucial. When Carl was speaking earlier, he talked about how that these things should even start from the junior secondary school. And I saw someone in the chat wondering, like, junior secondary school students right now in Africa, they don't even know what they want to do with their lives. So I think this is very crucial, where we start them young, expose them to these tools and infrastructure. So I'm wishing you all the best in your journey, and I'm very sure that we have people on this call who are looking to collaborate with bright minds like yourself. Christiana says she's a SaaS. Okay, she's a SaaS content strategist, helping SaaS startups and founders to create strategic content that connects, converts, and drives growth. Brilliant, Christiana. I think you're doing an amazing work. I would take 2 or 3 more people. So if you're yet to drop yours, please feel free to do that. I see Stella. Stella says over the past 2 years, she has specialized in network security engineering, building on a solid foundation in cybersecurity. I think it's amazing. We live in a digital first world, so ensuring that our activities online is secure is very crucial. So well done, Chiamaka. I see Pamela. Pamela says she's a DevSecOps engineer focused on integrating security practices throughout the entire software development lifecycle. I think that's very beautiful. I see Tech here. I see our cybersecurity guys here. I see tech content strategy here. I see product manager here. Who else is here? I think I also saw a developer, data scientist. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. I will take one or two more before I wrap up and take you into the last session for today. Okay. All right, keep it coming. I saw about two people say they were in the automobile industry, and I think that's a very interesting industry. One of you was even asking how AI can be good, and it would be very good to have you introduce the problem you think should be solved in the chat. So please don't be shy. I see we have a good number of people on this call, but only a few people have introduced their passion. So please keep it coming. I'll take one or two more and we're out. Okay. All right. So while I wait for one or two more persons, I just quickly want to double down on the health. What Sylvia said. We live in a world where we can't always, or we are in a world where we can do more with data. We can make decisions with something other than our intuition or how we feel. While that is not bad, data is very important. I mean, for product managers, even on this call, you know how crucial it is to ensure that you're making data informed, you are building data informed features or solutions. And I think what you all are doing, or what you all aspire to do with data in the health sector is very, very important. Okay, Oga Drivers, Auto Garage. Hi, Fine Chuku. You are into automobile and cybersecurity. That's two mind blowing fields. I wish you all the best. You're passionate about solving issues relating to the logistics sector in the world, also containing cyber threats on our internet. I think that's amazing, and I'm rooting for all of you. I will take Oluwa Bukola Amla. She says she's an aspiring GRC professional. One problem she would like to solve, um, one problem I think should be solved in intercommunications and okay is intercommunications and collaboration between teams in various departments. I think this is a very crucial problem to solve, especially because we are in a world where post COVID people now work remotely. So there has to be a way to bridge that gap where even if people are split across different parts of the globe, there is collaboration and there is communication. Anthony is an entry-level cybersecurity analyst looking forward to helping more people come to learn about the cyberspace and also be productive in the space. Thank you so much, everyone, for your responses. We're rooting for you in your journey, and I want to encourage you to stay tuned. To the end of today's summit. Tomorrow we're back again, 3 p.m. West African time, same time on Thursday. And I assure you that there will be tips that would change the trajectory of what you do, either as a professional, a recruiter, a founder, or a company leader. All right. So once again, thank you very much. And before we wrap up today, we're going to be playing a short video to help you understand, to just give you a tip of the iceberg with respect to what Talenvo has in store for you after this summit. So Talenvo, take it away. Until I come.
Hi, how are you now?
You won't be like I got the job.
What? Are you serious? How now? guy. I completed like 3 projects on Talenvo, and the company liked my portfolio. No way, this could change everything.